This crypto cycle is nothing like the ones before. Bitcoin is in a full-blown bull market, while the altcoins are being left behind at the moment. The key to winning big this cycle is to know when to be positioned mainly in Bitcoin and when to go hard in altcoins. In today's video, I will summarize my trading strategy for the rest of this summer, which is split up in 3 parts. First is the price and timing to buy more Bitcoin. Second part is choosing which large cap altcoins to hold and complement Bitcoin. Finally, the last part is finding the right timing to actually go into low cap shitcoins. If there is one takeaway I can give you for this cycle, it is that Bitcoin is completely separate from the rest of the crypto market. So to form a proper strategy, we need to have separate plans for trading Bitcoin and trading altcoins. Long story short, you can buy Bitcoin and simply hold for easy gains as it will keep shooting higher and higher. In summary, Bitcoin has a very clear bull market support right around the 20-week and 50-week simple moving averages. You can find these indicators directly on TradingView by typing in moving average. And here I have the 20-week and 50-week simple moving averages. The setup here is very clear. You want to buy Bitcoin whenever it drops below this light blue line, which is the 20-week SMA. And you want to continue holding as long as Bitcoin stays above this dark blue line, this 50-week SMA. Since Bitcoin bottomed in the summer of 2023, this has held true over the last 3 major corrections. And that's it. That's a very simple strategy you need to do. And currently the 20-week SMA sits at $94,000 to $95,000. That's my next ideal buying range. If Bitcoin can get to 95K, I'm going to look to load up. And as long as it stays above the 50-week SMA, which is currently around 83K, and by the time we see the next correction, that's likely to inch up towards 85K. As long as that level holds on a weekly time frame, I will know that Bitcoin is still in a bull market. I have covered my updated Bitcoin strategy already in 2 videos. You can check this one out here for my long-term price prediction for 2025 and this recent live stream for when to buy Bitcoin on each dip. Next up, for my large cap altcoins strategy, I only want to focus on a few blue chip altcoins that are for sure going to come back and outperform Bitcoin given the right conditions. These are the same altcoins that I have held in my public portfolio for the longest time. Ethereum, which is the #1 institutional coin, Solana, the #1 retail and technology coin. I want to add XRP to this mix as the TradFi dark horse coin if Ripple actually goes public, where we have the Ripple stock trading alongside the XRP coin. This is going to create a symbiotic effect. We have BitTensor Tau as the #1 AI coin. We have Superverse, the #1 gaming coin, and PayPay, the #1 meme coin of this cycle. There are some replacements you can make in this blue chip area. Cardano definitely deserves to be in the blue chip bucket. Sui and AVAX are both really good layer 1 competitors to Solana. You have Stellar and Hedera, which are both similar narrative altcoins to XRP. Near Protocol is a good technology alternative to BitTensor. However, BitTensor has been outpacing Near in tokenomics and in price performance. I also have Beam in my portfolio, which is another strong gaming coin. And of course, we don't want to forget about Dogecoin, the OG meme coin. If meme coins are going to make a comeback again, Doge is definitely going to run if PayPay makes a run. The Pudgy Penguins meme coin is also interesting, directly capturing all of the interests of crypto Twitter. The key theme here is to focus on 1 to 2 market leaders in the most obvious sectors. Ideally, you want to aim for coins in the top 20 to 30 top rankings in order to build a significant position with over 5% of your portfolio. For any project outside of the top 30, I only want to hold 2 to 3% of my portfolio there. You see, today I don't have many altcoins in my portfolio anymore. I want to limit my core long-term holdings to a maximum of 10 coins. So that brings us to the last part of the strategy. When am I going to go heavy into shitcoins again? I have been tweeting about my thoughts on this topic and having a lot of debates with people on Twitter recently. I am not buying and holding most low cap shitcoins right now, as they are likely to lose value against Bitcoin. I believe we are not in the easy mode altcoin season yet. If you have held altcoins and underperformed against Bitcoin, you need to pivot to either holding majority in Bitcoin or holding blue chip altcoins like Ethereum, Solana, XRP, BitTensor, etc. There are two major arguments people have against this approach. Number one is that altcoins are super cheap against Bitcoin right now. It's the worst time to pivot. These are some of the most common replies that I got. Now, how do people have such high conviction for this to happen exactly right now? Consider what you are proposing here. The absolute worst time to pivot away from altcoins is now. What are you actually saying? By making a statement like that, what you are effectively saying is that you predict that Bitcoin dominance has topped, and exactly this week, or when you are making the comment, you are saying Bitcoin dominance is going to drop and drop and drop into a long-term downtrend. Of course, there is a chance for this to happen, but people have been saying the same thing over the past 2 years. Let me block off this chart until Q1 2024. This was when the Bitcoin bull run first started. People were all screaming that altcoins are cheap, you gotta get in now or else you're gonna miss the boat. I got burnt in that mini altcoin season as well. Sure, I made some gains in the first 2 weeks, but I lost it all back when Bitcoin sucked back all the liquidity. And following that, we saw the Bitcoin dominance continue to rally until November of 2024. Around this period was when Solana made its first rally, when PayPay and its related meme coins first made their pump. This was when BitTensor first became popular with the major AI layer 1's wave. But was this an altcoin season? No, it was not. By March 2024, altcoins were continuing to bleed against Bitcoin already as Bitcoin dominance kept going up. Okay, then we go to October and November 2024 when Trump won the election. We had the Trump pump, we had the XRP pump, the sweet pump. RWA got really popular, and then we had AI agents with Virtuals, AI16Z, and Solana AI agent meme coins. People were screaming that this was the beginning of the altcoin season here, but look at what happened after. Bitcoin dominance bounced back again and erased all those gains that we had in altcoins. How long did this last? From November 4th until about January 6th. So another 2 months of mini altcoin season where you could have made some gains, but if you did not sell those gains into Bitcoin, you gave all of them back when the market retraced. And now fast forward to April and May when we had the hyperliquid pump, BitTensor Virtuals had their second wave, and some meme coins like Farcoin and other shitcoins are popping off again. By saying that the absolute worst time to pivot away from altcoins is now, you are effectively saying that you predict Bitcoin dominance has topped right here and we are going to go into a downtrend like this. And we are not going to repeating the same pattern that we had when Trump won the elections or back in Q4 2023 when Bitcoin first started its bull run. How can you be sure that this is going to happen? You can't. So this is my counter argument to these first types of replies. I agree, altcoins are cheap against Bitcoin, but they can get even cheaper like we have seen in the last 2 years. Instead, you want to be sure that the altcoin season is real when Bitcoin dominance actually shows a long-term downtrend like this. And that takes a lot of patience. If Trump winning the election wasn't enough to trigger a durable altcoin season, other news-based catalyst events are highly possible to be traps as well. And we don't need to catch these exact reversals on Bitcoin dominance because just look at the last 2 altcoin cycles. In 2021, this altcoin season lasted for a whole year. And you had plenty of time to get in when the downtrend actually established itself. In 2017, the altcoin season also lasted for over a year, and you had plenty of time to get in when you saw the downtrend actually forming. There is no reason to lose your cool before the real run even started. Give it enough time for Bitcoin dominance to actually make a lower high and lower low structure on a weekly time frame, then you can know for sure that the altcoin season is starting and we have an easy time to invest in altcoins, and then you can deploy much more heavily into shitcoins. Okay, number 2 argument that people have against holding majority in Bitcoin is that they have a small portfolio. I did a poll recently and the results are quite shocking. What percentage of people's portfolio are in Bitcoin? Out of 7,000 votes, 46% of people had 0% of their portfolio in Bitcoin. This is quite shocking to me. And one of the common arguments that people have for this is that they don't have any Bitcoin because they're not rich and they have a very small portfolio, and thus holding Bitcoin is not going to give them meaningful gains anymore. I get what you're saying. However, I have then a deeper question, which is, Are you spending all your time in crypto, being glued to the screen for 12 hours a day? Are you actually a good trader and you are sniping new coin launches on 5 different Solana launch pads, you're on Base, you're on all the new chains, you're doing all the public sales, you're on crypto Twitter 24/7. Is this you? If the answer is yes, then go ahead. You can try to turn your $100 into $10,000. And to be honest, the only way you can do that is by being 24/7 degen. But if you are just a pleb retail trader who checks their portfolio once per day, how are you going to beat these trench warriors? You're just wasting your already precious capital, and the market doesn't care about how big or small your portfolio is. Whether you have $100 or $10,000 of a portfolio, it doesn't matter. If you had held most altcoins over the past 2 years, on average, you have gotten less returns than holding Bitcoin, as we can see from Bitcoin dominance. So for the 46% of people who don't hold any Bitcoin at all, you really got to consider which type of trader you are. You either go full degen and gamble on-chain 12 hours a day trying to make it with a 100x gain, or you have to play the patient game and wait for the easy mode altcoin season to actually start. Most people are being trapped in the middle. They're losing patience and burning all their capital while believing that they need to make it right now, otherwise they're going to lose the opportunity forever. In reality, you are burning all your precious capital already, and by the time the altcoin season actually starts, you won't have any capital to play with anymore. Let me summarize my strategy on shitcoins. I want to focus on trading with very tiny capital. I'm limiting myself to use 10% maximum of all my cash to trade shitcoins. And these are only trades that I want to hold for 1 to 2 weeks max. I will not transfer any of these positions into long-term holds, as the past 2 years have shown that each of these trends do not last longer than 3 months. Whether that's an AI agents wave or AI layer 1's wave, RWA's wave, the hyperliquid perp dex's wave, none of that matters. I'm limiting all my trading actions on Twitter, which is why you should also follow me on Twitter at Virtualbacon0x. I'm actually staying very active in the market, but I won't be transferring any of these positions into my long-term portfolio holdings that I cover in evergreen videos. Now, there will be a time to go heavy into shitcoins sometime in Q4 of this year. This is when we actually see Bitcoin dominance show a downtrend on a weekly time frame with lower highs and lower lows, instead of bouncing back to new highs after each correction. In order for this to happen, a few events needs to play out. The Fed needs to pause quantitative tightening by Q4 of this year. I have covered how you can monitor this with this live stream right here that you can check out. Global liquidity also needs to establish a new uptrend by Q4. You can easily follow this using the Global Liquidity Index indicator on TradingView. And you see right here, we are starting to see the first signs of this. But on a macro time frame, this isn't confirmed yet. Again, I have covered this plenty of times whenever I talk about QE and the macro liquidity conditions that you can watch other videos on the channel. If this happens, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP all need to show long-term uptrends against Bitcoin as well. The ETH BTC chart is starting to look promising, and we really want to see it confirm and create higher lows on a weekly time frame. Solana is looking similar as well, made a low and potentially a higher low coming in to be confirmed soon. XRP still needs some time to bottom out against Bitcoin, and I believe we could potentially come down to the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement on the XRP BTC ratio before the full reversal can come in. And that's why I haven't added XRP to my portfolio just yet. You can watch my 6-month strategy on XRP and when I plan to add XRP to my long-term portfolio in this live stream right here. If and when these conditions are met, that will be the real altcoin season where any shitcoin can easily pump across the board. These are real things you can monitor, and it's not simply browsing crypto Twitter and seeing other people getting excited about altcoins and calling it the start of altcoin season. And certainly it's not looking at Bitcoin dominance and saying, oh, Bitcoin dominance is reaching 65%, then it must be the top. That's an arbitrary percentage number, and there's no reason for that to be a definitive signal. Here's the summary of my strategy, as I know people will misinterpret this again. I am not bearish. I am very bullish on Bitcoin and blue chip altcoins. I am heavily invested in Bitcoin right now, and whenever it drops to the 20-week SMA, that's a buying opportunity in my book. As long as Bitcoin holds above the 50-week SMA, we are in a Bitcoin bull run. I actively hold large cap altcoins in my portfolio, and I don't plan to sell them anytime soon. Ethereum, Solana, I want to add XRP. Top AI coin, top gaming coin, top meme coin. There are plenty of large cap altcoins you can buy and simply hold in the top 30 coin rankings. Holding most of these this year have outperformed the Bitcoin, and if you have done so, you are doing well. I've reiterated this plenty of times on Twitter. As long as you are outperforming Bitcoin, you're good. But if you are holding shitcoins and underperformed Bitcoin, you need to pivot. For actual shitcoins, I don't think now is the good time to be heavily invested in them. All you need to do is to stay up to date in the market with a very tiny percentage of your total portfolio. You can trade the day-to-day runners. Sometimes they happen on AVAX, sometimes on Solana, sometimes on Base, whatever. That way you are active in the market and you know what the new trends are. So when Bitcoin dominance actually reverses to the downside, you will be ready to jump headfirst into altcoins with all that preserved capital. I believe this timing is sometime in Q4 of this year, which coincides with the Fed pausing QT, starting some sort of stealth QE, and Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and other large caps starting to outpace Bitcoin over a long time frame. And that's when Bitcoin dominance will start its macro downtrend. If you really want to gamble and become the 1 out of 10,000 successful trench traders, go ahead and do it. But at least be honest with yourself. Are you spending 12 hours per day trying to win on chain? If you are not going full degen, you should not be buying these low cap altcoins and checking in on them once or twice per week. Most people are trapped in this range, and instead of doing that, you should just hold Bitcoin and hold some large cap blue chip altcoins and preserve your capital and preserve your mind until the altcoin season actually begins. To follow my degen trades, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Virtualbacon0x. I will only be sending these out as tweets, as they can be live over a week-to-week basis, and you won't be finding these in my portfolio videos as the time frames simply don't match up. That's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.